Hello and welcome to the AgriHQ Livestock Insight Report Update. I'm Nicola Dennis. We're going to have a look through what was in last week's North Island and South Island reports. So on the front page we had who is footing the bill for environmental reforms. And when we talk about environmental reforms, we're talking about the National Policy Statement for Fresh Water, which is your stock exclusions of waterways, restrictions around winter grazing, audited farm environmental plans, enforcing nitrogen caps, and then on top of that we've got greenhouse gas mitigation strategies and biodiversity measures. So there's a lot coming at us, and farmers are motivated on the most part to reduce environmental impacts, but it ain't free, so who's paying for it? And politicians are quick to point out that farmers are going to be reimbursed by the export market through all these international customers that are willing to pay like ethical premiums for the way we farm. So I put that to the exporters. And some interesting points came out of that. Basically, you know the answer already. No, the market's fairly indifferent to the way we farm, so we can't really expect to have extra premiums come our way for choices we decide to make here that increase our costs. But anyway, the main points there were that one, large parts of the carcass, a cattle carcass and a lamb carcass, go to manufacturing markets. So we're talking the US grinding market for beef and the Chinese market for lamb forequarters, flaps, legs and the like. Those end customers not particularly even aware that they are eating New Zealand products, let alone the way in which they were farmed. And then, so that will leave most of the premium have to come out of these low yielding cuts, your beef tenderloins, your lamb racks. It'd be nice to be able to sell those at all on the current market. Those are restaurant items or high-end retail items, and those are struggling as it is. Even if COVID wasn't there, exporters were quick to point out that it is difficult to prove you're getting a premium. It's not transparent out there as to what everyone's paying for your competitors. And if there is a premium, most seem to feel that we're possibly already garnering it, and we've got some retail demand there for assurance programs like raised without antibiotics and grass-fed and things like that already receiving premiums. And well, to be honest, they're sort of 10 cents a kilo on your carcass weight, which really doesn't go far to covering some of these costs. So that's in the front page of the report. I'm also going to rework that a little bit, pop that in the Farmers Weekly and up on our website under our AgriHQ Pulse column. Looking at the weather, it seemed like it actually was pretty good week last week. There was good rain in the South Island, there was some muggy conditions in the North Island, and things seemed to be a pretty favourable week. In the beef side of things, we had slaughter prices holding in the North Island as supply sort of came off the boil a little bit with a bit of rain, people holding back bookings, and also we've got the capacity lifting. So that held things steady. In the South Island, no such luck. We've still got dry conditions in Canterbury. We've still got a cattle backlog, so prices did ease. On the flip side, or on a positive note, there was a lift in the US grinding market, which is good. There was the hint of Chinese buying in the 95 CL market, which is very encouraging because we do want China to enter that market in time for our bull season, and they have been sitting out because they've got plenty of competing beef from South America. So we'll watch that this week, see if anything develops. Could be exciting. In the store cattle market, we've got North Island yearling store cattle staging a bit of a recovery, and the 2-year cattle in the North Island devaluing slightly. There seemed to be a bit of a switch in sentiment from the short-term cattle to the long-term cattle. In the South Island, the rain really didn't help anything. The cattle market's still oversupplied, and the dairy beef store cattle took a hiding. So See how that develops. There's quite a few cattle coming through fielding this week, and that's worth keeping an eye on, see what happens there. And the sheep, lamb slipped in the North Island, the lamb slaughter price, held in the South Island. We're kind of getting to that changing of the guard annual lull period between the end of the old season lambs and the start of the new season lambs. So processors are chasing mutton and that price is lifting. In the export markets, we had France and Germany going back into lockdown. So exporters were pretty philosophical about that. They felt that we've seen all this before. The overseas buyers are savvy about switching from food service to retail, and also those prices for those lamb racks are already pretty depressed. So they felt that it couldn't fall too much further. So we'll just keep an eye on that, see if that's the case. We saw the UK lamb leg indicator slip a little bit as there was more EU lamb legs being offered in this market, and also some distressed New Zealand packages. Again, we'll keep an eye on that. And the store lambs, there's a good interest in the North Island. The main supply hasn't come on yet, so we'll see what happens to those prices when supply lifts. In the South Island, you don't really have to wait actually. There's plenty of farmers quitting the lighter store lambs early out of the Banks Peninsula and other dry areas. Pricing not too bad at this point, but expected to come down further. We also have a piece on venison, not a lot of joy there. So we're in the peak production period, and then we're also just no improvement in the export markets. So prices are sliding and expected to continue downwards. In this week's report, we've got the outlook for this season and the prospects of a summer drought. So some areas are expected to be quite dry, but on the balance, probably not as bad as last season. So we need to kind of just drop all emotive attachments we have to how bad last season was and get on with this season. We're going to have an update on Australian production and an update on African swine fever. And of course, we'll be covering the store, the slaughter, and the export markets as we always do, and have all those prices in the tables. So if you are a subscriber, that's going to be in your inbox on Friday. And if you're not a subscriber, you can head along to agrihq.co.nz and get yourself sorted out.